Hi, welcome to our Llama tutorial. We're going to be working with our supply pack today. This is Sarafina Fiber Art, and I'm excited to share this project with you. I tried to keep this on the simple side. I wanted it to be a level 2 to 3, and so I don't have a lot of complex shapes. I'd say the hardest part is the face, but the supply pack is nice and big because I wanted it to make 2 because there's just, more opportunity there and so many fun colors, and they come in a huge slew of colors. Of course, we couldn't put every option in the supply pack, but generally it's equipped to make 2 llamas, and I have some browns and blacks in there, so you can combine them. I'll probably work in like a white and brown or a white and black color scheme. I'm also going to use my basic needle felting supplies. I have my Stab-It, a mini Stab-It, which is just super helpful for getting the insides of legs and resting their head on there, and giving yourself the best options for needle felting your project. And a Zoli tool and a face ace. I have my pen tool. I like to have 2 38 needles in there. And then in my cherry tool, I have a single needle. You could also have a pen tool with a single needle, and then a fine needle like a 40 twist should be good. I'm going to use a swax on the hooves. I actually didn't on the 2 that I made to prepare for the tutorial, but I have it warming up here because I think it is going to be helpful to most. Well, it's just a nice look and it's helpful. So I have that, and scissors, pliers, all the norms for our general needle felting kits. So the first thing we're going to do is open the supply pack, and I'll show you what's in there and what we're working with, and then we'll get started on the armature. Okay, this is one of our bigger supply packs, actually.
Might be the biggest.
It is, because it's a lot of off-white chunky core. It's 4 ounces, in fact. Mm-hmm. The llamas are about 6 inches at their withers and about 6 inches long. Like their body is about 6 or 7 inches long. So they're kind of to scale with our other animals like the donkey and the camel and stuff like that. So we have 2 sets of wires in here. I got a little jumbled up. I packed this one, so when Sassy packs it, she'll do your supply pack will be better. I do make our usual armature, and that's with 2 30-inch wires, and then we're going to reinforce the legs with second wires. So these are 14 gauge wires at 30 inches, and then a 14-inch and a 16-inch for reinforcement. And then we have 26 gauge wires just to make sure all of our aluminum wire is covered and the wool can grip better. These are our alpaca bundles. You have more white than brown and black because I didn't include enough for an entirely brown llama or black. So white with brown and black accents is the plan. And then of course your off-white chunky core. And then we have a bundle of core. These are for shapes, accent colors, eyes, just other places that you might want to includes some various colors. So we have coffee bean, charcoal, light gray, and black. And then another top coat bundle. This helps. I use a shingling method on the llamas. The Gen Tan is for face and color details that can kind of go with the core pile. Then we have Sarafina white. And I have 3 natural, it's either Shetland or Corriedale. They're going to coordinate with your alpaca to give it a real natural look when you shingle with it. So that's what these 3 are for. So you can set those aside because those are down the road fibers. Our cute little tag. Get rid of this crinkly bag. I love our tag. Just want to look at it. So cute. They're so much fun. They're, camels are really expressive, and well, so are donkeys. And I feel like these are kind of a mashup. So my first one was he's sitting in a box over there. It was too generic. It didn't have all the character, and take some time, a few minutes to look up reference images. You can use Google Images, and check out llamas because they have a lot of tude, and I really like to try and capture that. I also realized as I was making them that I was putting the eyes too high. Their eyes are really wide set and they're not as high up on their head as I thought. So I've moved the eye bumps down, which helped get that look. Their ears are big, so that's a lot of fun. I didn't wire the ears in this project, but that could be, we do that in the donkey tutorial, and that could be a fun idea. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is make our armature. Our 2 longer wires are both 30 inches, so you can start with either one. You want to find the center. I just pull the ends together and then work my way back to the center. Then give that end a little pinch and then twist, leave 7 inches. Let's see. Yep, twist 7 inches. Nice even twist. These are about 1/4 to 1/2 inch twists. I don't twist too tightly. I feel like it just exhausts your hands and the wire. I have to say, I did not research llamas to death.
I have some information about them.
Okay, so the head we want to bend at 2.25, and then that gives us about a 4 3/4 inch neck. So that's right where we want to be with that. I'm going to go closer to 2 and 5 inches. Somewhere in there is good. We're going to find the center of the second wire. And then I put that on the chest. I'm working as if you've made an armature before. If you haven't made an armature or aren't familiar with this process, I recommend some of our earlier tutorials. So I'm going to twist this. I like to go inward so that this front leg is coming to the inside of the wire. And then I'm going to do the same thing on this side. And I'm twisting it 2 times, meaning this long wire comes around pointing to the back 2 times. So it's actually looks like 4 twists. And then you have your original wire coming straight down to make the legs, and the second wire is now twisted at the shoulder and pointing backwards, and this will make the back and the hind legs. When I bring my two wires together, I like to leave this little diamond or triangle space here. I don't want to pinch these shoulders closed. So that's about an inch to an inch and a half wide. And then I want to twist a distance of 5 inches from the front leg, measuring from the front leg to the end of the twist. So that is as far as I want to go there. And then just point those legs down. So we've got a 5-inch neck and a 5-inch back and about a 2-inch head. The remaining length of my front legs is close to 7 inches, and the remaining length of my hind legs currently is close to 8 inches. With the 14-inch wire, we want to find the center. Usually I go over the shoulders, like I put this on top, but llamas don't really have a pronounced withers or like spiny protrusion at their withers. So I'm going to put it under the armature and just make sure it's lined up in there, like that the center is in the center of this space. And then I'm going to twist the legs together. And I'm going to leave about 3/4 of an inch of wire. One might be longer than the other. That's okay. So I know they're mountain animals.
I was just looking, a typical adult llama is anywhere from 4 to 6 feet tall at the top of their head. So they do get pretty tall.
I thought they were bigger than that.
About as tall or taller than an adult human. It says
Okay.
250 to 450 pounds. Size 4 foot tall at the shoulder.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. So then I thought the top of their head would be higher. We're gonna dig deeper. We're gonna find out more. I'm gonna find the center of my second wire.
5.6 to 5.9 feet at the top of the head.
Are they just mostly used as pack animals in the domestic?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not like, I don't feel like
they don't get
people
ridden.
work with llama a lot in terms of fiber.
Oh.
Maybe it's
I could
some
look
to
up
some
their
degree.
fiber.
But.
Yeah.
Okay, with this other leg wire, I found the center and I just put it right on top of the base of the back so that we're matching up these two mountains. And then same thing, we just want to twist them together. I try to twist my wires in the direction that I wrap my wool so that everything lays in really, really evenly. And I always try to twist my wires evenly, marry them together rather than one wire doing all the work, going around and around. And I'm just going to twist again until I have about 3/4 of an inch left.
Here's an entire llama fiber cooperative.
Okay.
And they do. It says it's luxurious, lightweight, and incredibly warm, often compared to alpaca or cashmere. It's hollow, durable, and lanolin free.
Yeah, I mean, if cashmere is super soft, so if they're comparing it, so is alpaca can be. So
it does get spun and knit. It says it's good for wet and dry felting, which is interesting.
All right, we're gonna have to get our hands on some for
right?
Sure. So now we have our armature complete and we need to give the legs their shape. I want to create an elbow 1 inch down the front legs, and that bend goes backwards, meaning towards the back of the animal. And that's pretty much it. The distance from the elbow to the ankle is about 4 inches. perfect. And then I will cut the toes to be even. My swax is ready to go. So just have to trim a little bit off of the one side.
This is saying llama fiber will felt even on the animal. So when it's
That's
shorn,
why they're so wacky looking.
when it's shorn, woolly llama fleeces tend to be fleeces, whereas alpaca comes off in individual.
That's why we don't see it
strands. Mhm.
very often. So it felts really well. That's
Unless they're bred for their fiber, and then it says 20 to 30 microns, which is in the range of
softness.
like
soft.
to wool. Yeah.
I want to give my hind legs a little butt bone by angling 1 inch backwards and then bending it forwards. And then he's going to get a stifle or a knee at 1.5 inches from that, from the butt bone to the knee. And then a backwards joint at 1.5 inches. That's his hock. So we have 1, 2, 3, 3 bends in the hind legs versus 1 bend in, I mean, he has knees in here too, but I don't make that bend. Again, I just want to check my 2 lower legs here and make sure that they're even and trim these to somewhere around 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch, these toe wires. So we have 1 inch, 1.5, 1.5, 1.5, and then your 1/2 to 3/4 inch toes. I'd say they're more like 1/2 inch. Yeah, the first one I made, I didn't even split the toes. I just wrapped them.
Okay.
I just wrapped them whole, and then my idea was I was just going to cut them and swax them,
Okay.
but it's not too hard to get these wrapped up. So now we want to take our 26 gauge wires, wrap our legs. So I find the center, and these are just long enough that when you go, I did put that one over the back. And then I'm going to come down the leg, real nice and loopy, just kind of intertwines with that twisted wire. And you might have enough to go out 1 toe. I don't have quite enough to do both toes, but I think with the swax, I'm going to be okay. It's like oh, okay. I must have been lopsided because this one, I have enough to go out 1 toe, back, and then out the other toe. It's always little, like the wire's just kind of hanging out there until you get it anchored down with wool. Oh, and also, give a little check and make sure your armature is standing up square. That's always a good idea.
That's like all the time, give a little check. Yes.
Yeah, I do it throughout for sure. This, go over the butt and down each hind leg. Again, I'm making big loops so that I have enough wire. What would happen if I cut that? Oh, might be a little tight. Yeah, I'm pretty much just getting one toe on these. Which with the swax, I'm not too worried about it. But if you wanted to get the other toe covered, you definitely could. I think this wire is going to be long, so you definitely could use some of this wire. They have a little tail. I'm not wiring it. I just started this wire on his butt here, went right up the back, right up the neck, and out to the end of the head. And then I just want that to be folded back over the nose. We're all set. We're ready to start wrapping. Put it down this way so you guys can see in the overhead. Using off-white chunky core, you just got to pull your core belt off. I'm going to work with about 6-inch pieces. If your off-white chunky core is thicker than this, you might want to work in quarters. But this particular batch is kind of on the thinner side, so I'm going to split these 6-inch pieces in half. And I just want to get some wire on the legs, and then I'll wrap the toes. I've got my swax ready to go here. So when I wrap down the leg, I start at the top of the leg, and I get it anchored by going around the same position more than once. That way I can pull on this and it's locking itself down. I don't have to worry about it slipping. And as I wrap, I draft my wool. I keep my ribbon thin. When I want a tight wrap, I make sure my other hand is following the wrap down and kind of twisting down on it. Good wrapping techniques take you a long way because it's like sets you up for success in the rest of your project. This is all smooth and tight. I don't have to stab it. That's what we want. Before I get to the split in the toes, I want to pull off any extra wool so that this can just taper to nothing. This fringy end is what's needed to lock this down and make it stay, versus like a great big chunk that now you have this big chunk of wool and you know don't know where to put it. So that just kind of disappears and the whole thing stays tight. So even though we start with a certain, I give a direction in terms of the amount of wool, you might not use it all. You might need to pull some off. The amount of wool sort of assessment skill comes with time. You will get better and better at that. It's pretty cool.
Would you suggest pulling that off-white chunky core bundle, splitting it in half for the two, or?
Not a bad idea.
Okay. I mean,
yeah, it should be plenty, but you never know.
Unless someone has a bundle sitting in their house anyway, and then they're fine.
Yeah,
they have a little extra.
We try to give plenty, but it would be good to split it in two just so that this is how much I have for this project. And yeah, so you just have to unroll it.
Right, that's a...
On the hind legs, for whatever reason, I like to go around the body first. I guess because it's just right there and it's easy to do. It's a good way to get it anchored. On the front legs, you can't really do that because of the shoulder setup.
What do llamas do when something's funny?
What do they do when something's funny? I don't know what.
They laugh.
I thought you were going to say Llama.
Llama. That is another. That's how they sign off when something's funny.
Oh.
On a text.
Oh.
They LLAMO.
That's funny. Talbot jumped ahead to the next joke.
They seem so tall with the armature. Like the legs seem so long.
Oh, I know. And then they're just all of a sudden like this chunk. I just love how crazy they are.
Mm-hmm.
Like their faces are crazy. Their fur is like
wacky.
That explanation about it felting on the animal totally makes sense, because when you look at pictures of them,
they're like a hot mess.
Yeah, they are. That's exactly the way to describe it. They look like they had a good time the day before. I like they're a little cow-hocked. They stand kind of with their hocks in. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do the toes. You can use the charcoal or the black. I think I'm going to use the charcoal. I feel like it's just a little more natural looking. Alrighty, so I think I'll pull like a 2-inch piece and then split that into quarters lengthwise. And then these should each do both toes, so all 4 feet. I think it helps to put a little bit of tacky wrap or swax. You could put tacky wrap or swax on the toes to start. Definitely grabs the wool and tells it to stay there. And then with a really fringy end, I want to start right at the split of the toes. I don't want to build up here in charcoal too much, because that joint is probably going to end up white, unless I did make this one with black legs. So that's a choice you have to make. And then I'm going to go out a toe. Make sure I get it really covered. This doesn't have to be super skinny. These aren't tiny little fingers. These are hooves. And then come back and go out the other toe. I'm always controlling my fiber.
So they're like toes with toenails.
They're weird foot, sort of like a camel. I'm not getting as involved as we did in the camel, but it's a split hoof, but it's not like a cow or a sheep. It's more like a great big toenail with this weird foot.
It says they have toenails and soft foot pads.
Yeah, because they got to get around on those mountains.
It's wild.
And then once I have that wrapped in this V, I'm going to put my swax on it. And I want to keep it just on the ends, because the top half of that V is, sorry, I know I'm off camera. I'll show you what I'm doing here. Just putting it right on the lower half, because the top half is going to get wrapped with whatever leg color we decide. And then I put some bunny butter on my fingers, and then after that swax cools for a second, you can just press it in. Now it's this nice shiny hoof. Let me zoom in a little bit for the next one. All right, so we start by anchoring our charcoal, just the very fringy end, right at the top of the V. And then I want to come out to the end of one and back. And then hop over here to the other side and come out to the end and go back. You can stab this a little bit if you need to, but really the wax is gonna lock that all down. So I'm using my silicone tool and just dabbing the wax on. And then I like having the bunny butter because that makes your fingers slippery. And then we can just press that in. It helps to twist it in the direction that you wrap the wool. Yeah, they have these kind of flat feet. That's the other thing. The cows and sheep are sort of up on their hoof, and these are more like a big padded foot with two big toenails. Definitely good to have that tacky wrap on there.
Yeah, this is a bit of a fussy little part if someone is on the newer side.
Yeah. So the other option is to just squeeze the toes together, wrap them as a whole thing, and not worry about it. I can show my first one and how I did that. Yeah, I tend to get more, the better you get at needle felting and understanding it all, the more detail oriented you're gonna want to be. But there's definitely kind of simple versions of everything. So this was my first guy, and got some things right. I like his teeth. That was a fun detail. But his feet are just, both wires are in there, but I just wrapped them whole. Which, if you don't mind, losing that detail, you absolutely can do.
What did the llama say when he was planning a picnic? Llamas do that.
Something about alpaca. Alpaca sandwich?
Yeah.
Alpaca some grapes?
Alpaca lunch, yep.
Alpaca chocolate covered strawberries?
They spit like partially digested green food.
Lovely.
Up to 15 feet they can spit.
This is yet another reason why we don't see their fiber everywhere. Okay. Whew. Let's get back to the fun part.
There are people out there saying that was the fun part.
There's two people. Two people saying that. Alrighty, let's get some more wool on this body. I'm going to work with like an 8-inch piece. Let's pull 2 of those. and split them in half, thirds, quarters, whatever you need to make it look like this. And I'm going to go up the neck and head. This doesn't have to be quite as tight and skinny as the legs, although we still want it locked down really well so that it's solid. What color am I going to make? That's the question.
Have you done, are they usually like just brown and white or just black and white? Not necessarily a combo of...
I don't know that if I've seen tricolor, it's more like one color fading into the other.
For videoing purposes, probably brown's
okay.
Easier
We'll
to
do
see.
brown.
Yeah, easier to see.
So one piece went up the neck, out to the nose, and then just back. And then I'm going to do another piece here on the body. I got to kind of span that. I'll get the chest better on the next piece, but I just want to get this around the body. When I do the body, I try to gauge my piece just to go one direction. Don't go back. We're going to do the chest wrap with one of these. I'm going to stretch it out a little bit. I'm going to go, I wonder if I can do it right-handed. No, I better not do that. You all just have to suffer. I start on the body and go around. And then I'm going to go over the far shoulder and across the chest and under the armpit. And then I go over the back. And then this time I come under the far armpit and over the shoulder. And so that basically makes an X on the chest. And then I'm going to take the rest. I'm just going to take the rest up the neck. But we want to do that again. All right, I'll try it right-handed now. So right-handed, I would go over the back and around. I would go over the far shoulder, under the armpit, over the back, under the armpit, and over the shoulder. Alrighty. I'm going to get another 8-inch piece, split it in half, wrap the body again. They have kind of a hump in their back, so I'm sort of keeping my armature like that, a little rounded in the back. What?
The Llama Fiber Co-op of North America.
What do they say?
They're just very proud of their llama fiber. Softer than sheep's wool. Naturally hypoallergenic. I mean, they might be throwing a little shade. A little shade at the sheep.
Yeah, right? Like, there's room for everybody to be amazing. And I put this last piece on the body. So now I think this is the 4th piece that I'm putting on the body.
I think they're probably quite misunderstood. The
The
llama fibers.
All right, well, we definitely should buy some.
Mm-hmm.
Stand up, dude. Boop, boop. Let's put a wrap on the upper legs. And this is where I'll want to decide if I'm going to add a little bit of color on the legs. So on this brown one, I did one hind leg in brown and the other side. So I think I'll do that. That'd be fun. This is the coffee, and I want about a 6-inch piece, and I'm going to quarter it. And I can decide. I think I'll do 3 brown legs. Of various lengths. So I'm going around the top a few times because I want it to be anchored, and I do want that to be thicker. And then I'm going to come down to the knee, which is going to be halfway between the elbow and the ankle. At the knee joint, right here in the middle, I just want to keep my ribbon thin and do a slight crisscross. That will build up a little knee bump. I'm not getting any more elaborate than that. And if I keep it really concentrated, it will look like a little joint. And then I'm going to go back up the leg because I do want the upper leg to be thicker than the lower leg. So on a leg that I'm not putting a brown accent, I would use, I'll use the off-white chunky core again. A quarter of a 6-inch piece of off-white chunky core, or the equivalent to the width of the coffee. Now I'll go down to the knee, give it a crisscross, just right in this one little 1/4-inch space right here. And then go back up the leg. So I'm going to do this in 2 steps. One is going to be from the top of the leg to the knee, the stifle. And back up. This is probably level 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the other one is going to be from the stifle to the hock. I'm just deciding. Now this, I could do this in white. It's just a matter of where you want your markings to be. So I'm doing a crisscross wrap on the stifle joint, which is around the top bone, in the middle, and around the bottom bone, which makes that look a little bit joint-like. You're always skipping the point. I'll show you again on the hock. And then I'm going to come down the hock toward the hock. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to exaggerate the bend here. And then I'm going to go around the top bone in the middle and then skip this point and come around the bottom bone. And do that 2 times, I think is good. And then come back up with the rest of my fiber. So just getting a little more build up on these upper legs. This one, I'll just do brown right at the top here. Maybe he'll be white at the bottom. So I'm going to go down to the stifle and then back up. And since I did this wrap on the other leg, I'm going to do it on this leg. Oh, I have this.
So will the legs get more top coat color?
They will, yes. They will. They get kind of fuzzed, like...
Can you show the legs on your black one then? Because it's cute what you chose to do there.
Okay, so there's my color choices on my legs. You could just go white and then just put spots, especially on your first one. Maybe you just want to get the feel for this. On the black one, yeah, I think I used black. I think I used charcoal on the upper legs and then black on the bottom. This one has a little bit of Sarafina white on the bottom. Yeah.
Like so many options for what people want to do.
It's a lot. Okay, we are ready to make shapes.
Ooh.
Yeah, body shapes. It's not too many.
You gotta fatten them up.
We're gonna fatten them up. I'm gonna put one more piece on here. Well, he's okay, I guess. Let me see. I feel like I should wrap the head and neck again. So I'm going to take another 8-inch piece. I'm going to split it in half lengthwise. I'm a little zoomed in. I'm going to go up the neck. Maybe you go up and down to sort of build this wider than that. So start at the bottom, work my way up, and then turn around and come down. That should put more at the bottom. Like that. Start to get kind of like a thicker at the bottom look to them. And then this other 8-inch piece, I'm going to stab in here real quick. I'm going to go around the body one more time. Get a little more on there. I'm going to put a little bit more on the head. I want to go out and back. Start to build up a cone shape on him. So keep it as tapered at the nose as you can, and get more of the wool on the back of the head. That's looking better. Before we put the body shapes on, I realize there's one more thing we need to do. We need to do one more wrap at the top of the legs in whichever color is at the top of the leg. So I have this 1/4 4-inch strip that I could use for this one. And that wrap looks like it starts on the body It goes around the upper leg. I'm going to go 2 times, and then it returns to the body. And that just pulls our legs together with the body. I'm going to do that on each of the 4 legs. So I need a strip of brown, about a 4-inch strip, 3 inches, I guess. And I'm going to pull it into thirds since I have 3 more legs to do. Stretch those out. And on this upper leg, I'm going to start on the body, go around, just straight around the top of the leg, and return to the body. Sometimes these wraps will sort of dictate where I put the spots too. Like this shoulder will end up brown. Same thing on the back legs. Start on the body, go around the butt, and return to the body. This involves more stabbing because these fringy ends are just laid on here and need to be stabbed in. So I think of llamas as being in South America. Is that primarily where they are?
Peru, Bolivia. I was just looking at that. They are one of the oldest domesticated animals also.
Very cool.
And they can carry about 30% of their body weight, which is why they were domesticated. It says 5,000 years ago in the Peruvian highlands. They're such smart animals, they know their limits. If you try to overload a llama, it will not move.
That's pretty amazing.
It'll lie down or refuse to move.
Wow.
Like, no.
That's very cool. Getting it all situated. Their hind legs are on the straight side. They're not super bendy. So that's sort of pushing his back up a little bit, but that's okay. So I want to make a couple of shapes. They have very square, deep chest, and their neck kind of sort of comes out. Visually, it looks like their neck is coming out on the low side. Hopefully you guys are looking at pictures while we do this. Would have been good if we could print one out. We'll print one out and have it. I think I usually do that. And then they have a really sweet belly. And then you can often, unless they're super hairy, you can see how they're tucked up here. So we get that distinction in their shape. They don't have a lot right here. And you can see the depth of the chest piece there. About 12-inch piece of off-white chunky core. I'm going to split that in half. And I'm going to use the flat side of the Zuli tool, and I'm going to wrap a 2-inch area. It's going to end up, the shape's going to end up being about 3 inches, but I'm going to concentrate the wool in a 2-inch area out and back. Pulling on this quite tightly. I'm keeping my ribbon wide and flat so that it covers a lot of ground. And that's our chest shape. And then with a 24-inch piece, which you can just do like 2 stab-it lengths of off-white chunky core, I'm going to leave it whole, and I'm going to roll a great big knot. I can't remember if I just wrote big pillow, so I'm going to try hand folding it. If you can keep this lined up, this should work pretty well. I'm giving it a tug so that all of this stays in the middle and doesn't like keep slipping off the end. Yep, that should do it. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna put the chest on first. And I want to lay him on his back. I want this to taper between the front legs, and I want this to bend up and meet the neck. I'm going to kind of accentuate the right angle of this. So I'm going to start by tacking the bottom side down. And then I'm going to tack the top side down. And the way to accentuate the right angle is to stab at it from this side and this side. If I keep stabbing at the point, that's just going to smooth it out and flatten it out. So I'm going to pretend like I'm stabbing at two sides of a square. And then the belly, you want the tapered edge of your great big pillow to meet this chest. And then the other tapered edge just kind of ends before, it does not need to come all the way back to the hind legs. It can end before that. We want it sort of concentrated in the middle. And this is just a tack on. The whole thing is going to get wrapped. So we need a nice long piece, about 20 to 24 inches. I'm going to split that in half. And then I want to wrap this belly, holding it in place and squeezing it on. And then I want to wrap the chest by going over the shoulder and under the armpit, over the back, and then under the armpit and over the shoulder. It's good. And then I want one piece to just bring this thigh area together with the body. And then it's like face and fluff. So because my upper legs are brown, I'm going to work with the brown. Okay, this is how I did this. I want 2 2-inch pieces. And I'm going to make 2 tacos. So I'm going to pull them out a little bit. I've got my fiber going vertically, and then I'm going to stab the middle. You know, it's probably a good idea to put a little bit across the middle. So I'm going to take this very edge off and put that across the middle. Little 1/4-inch strip. This gives the taco shape a lot of stability. And once you have that center stab down, you can use it sticking in the stab-it a little bit to pull that tight and stab your 2 halves together.
Llama mothers hum to communicate with their babies. And then their babies start to recognize them.
That's cool.
By their hum. Apparently they're pretty vocal.
How long do their babies stay with them?
Well, gestation is a year.
Okay. It's a long time. I think horses are 11 months, if I remember right. Okay, these lovely tacos are going, the taco part, the center, this is why we reinforced it, is going to go from the stifle to the body, and the fringe goes around the butt and the back of the leg.
So they nurse for 4 to 6 months.
Okay.
Usually 8 to 10 months. It says in natural or non-commercial settings.
Right. So are there wild llamas?
This is a good question.
I'm going to take this fringe around and stab it this way. So, right, like, is it like horses where they're mainly domesticated, but there are still some
in the wild? They can stand and walk within 30 to 60 minutes, and within a few weeks they start grazing and eating grasses and stuff. But they stick around for a while. Guanacos are the wild ancestors of the domestic llama.
Oh, I'll have to look that up. I've never heard that. Now we have a nice body shape going on here. I like it.
You like it?
I like it. It's time to do the face.
Fun.
Faces make me nervous.
They're not supposed to make you nervous. You're like the master.
But look at it. How could that make you nervous?
You just want to do it justice.
I do want to do it justice. So I have this picture which shows it front on, which is great. And then this one, which has some profiles and a 3/4, which is good. And I have my little notes and a few shapes figured out that seem to work really well. First, we want to make some bumps for the eyes. And like I said, I was putting them too far back. They're actually about 1/3 of the way from the back of the head or 2/3 from the front of the head. I think I want to get a tiny wrap on here. Just get this slightly bigger.
That's going, right?
Yes.
Okay. I'm just checking.
Yes. It's good. And I went around the very top of the neck because that's actually going to become the back of the head. So kind of incorporating this very top 1/2 inch of the neck into the head. Okay, this looks like a good shape. Really nice cone shape. It's important that this be tightly kind of established because all of the shapes become one with this wrapped armature. Now we want to put 2 eye bumps, and I think I'm going to go ahead and make them both brown. If you want a white face, you could do, well, I'll just work in white on this one.
Easier to see.
Yeah, but so like on this guy, I put brown eye bumps on each side. So I'll just work in white and then put brown spots in his fur. So with off-white chunky core, I want to make, this might be about right. So I have 2 2-inch strips, and I'm going to wrap the center of the face ace, just trying to keep the ribbon within a 1/2 inch distance. I basically want to make little pods. And the center of the face ace is the right like width. And then I want to take these pods, put them fringe down and fringe up, and try to kind of bend them. So I'm going to tack the fringe onto the side of the head, then tack the fringe onto the top of the head. Like so. And it looks totally crazy, but their faces are crazy, and these need to be a little bit exaggerated because more shapes go on top. So from the front, it looks like this. What do they eat, Kyla?
They are herbivores. They eat grass.
Mm-hmm.
They regurgitate their food and chew on their cud. They have like 3 stomachs, I think. Different grasses and plants, hay, alfalfa, blackberries, dandelions, all kinds of delicious things.
Wonderful.
This also says they can actually survive with very little water.
Oh, okay.
Seems sort of random, but I think we all need water.
I know. Well, like, I mean, maybe
they
just go a
store it.
long time. Maybe like a camel,
Like
or maybe
store
they
it in a
just
certain
don't
way.
need
They
as
are
much
of
water.
the camel family, so.
Okay, we're going to make another face ace shape with about a 5-inch long strip of wool. I'm using an off-white chunky core. I'm going to stay on the end of the face ace and wrap about 1.5 inches down and back. I call this a carrot shape. This is going to make the bridge of their nose, which is very prominent, and give us the blunt end where their wacky nostrils are. So I want this to be very tight.
You're going up and down.
Up and
up.
I went down, back, and then I had enough to go a little bit down again. But whenever we make a shape on the tool, unless we're just going straight around, like these were, you want to be able to go out and back. So I want this end to be at the end of the nose here. If you look at it from the side, this end of the nose, the lips come out beyond that. We're going to put those on too, but that's a separate piece. And then I want the rest of the shape to come back between the eyes. Oops, go this way. So I'm going to put this tip just back. I need my single needle. Just back from, wait a minute. Do I want to go this way? I want to go this way. Just back from the tip of the nose or the end of the head where we have the head wrapped right now. And then it'll come all the way back to the back of the head.
Another fun fact is that their poop does not stink.
That makes sense.
Like, it's almost odorless.
Yeah, they're on that good diet.
They used to burn it for fuel.
They don't anymore?
Well, it says it's a eco-friendly fertilizer.
I'm going to stab up at the bottom of this eye bump because that's where I want the eyeball to be. So I'm just kind of getting it a little bit established. So weird looking. With a little strip of a 4-inch strip of off-white chunky core. I'm going to roll in my fingers a soft pillow. You could do this on the face ace, I guess, but I just want another little pod, slightly bigger than our eye ones, to go on around the back of the head here. This gives us, it's real easy with the felted animals, the way that I do them, to not leave enough space between the eyes and the ears. And so putting this on the back of the head emulates the skull shape in the right way, that when we put our ears on it, it's more in the right space. So I'm just spanning across the back of the head. Okay, we're going to make a chin. And for the chin, oh, I did it on the, okay. Same thing, 4 inches, just about a 1/2-inch strip. And if we go on the round end of the xylitol, should give us a nice look. Hitting that.
So this is
faceted
like
end.
a fat carrot.
This is like a fat carrot, but it's going to flatten out because we have all this
Space
width. And then I'm going to put, what am I doing? Brown. I'm going to put a little
Fun.
I'm going to put tan on his chin. And then when I slide that off, now I have this like kind of ghost shape that'll go under. But first I want to stab it into a decent shape, like a nice rounded shape, because they have a pretty, it's a narrow little chin, but it is really well defined. So just stabbing it back on itself to round it out. Okay, then this can go under here. And I want that to match. So I have the nose set back just a little bit, but I want this to come out maybe even a tad farther than the end of the head wrap at this point, because the muzzle is going to go on here. And they sometimes have a little bit of an underbite. So we don't want it tucked back too far. And we can always, if we put it on this way, we can always kind of stab it back if we need to. Yikes. Don't do as I do right now. Here, let's get this.
Llama Land Ranch has a little fact that says llamas do not have top teeth.
Aw, that's funny.
That's why they have
That's how
their...
my grandma eats her corn. She taught me how to eat corn on the cob with my bottom teeth. So see, this is sticking out right now, but that's okay. I can assess once we get all our shapes on. Yeah, that's why it's really rounded, because they got all those bottom teeth in there. And then we're going to make a ghost for the top lip, but we want to do this flat because we want to be able to dent the lips and manipulate the shape. So I'm going to start with a little 1-inch square of off-white chunky core just to get that fiber down there. And then I'm going to put my Sarafina white on top of it. Then, so now I'm really working with more like a 2-inch space now that I'm laying it out. And then I'll put the tan at the top. Maybe I'll add a little bit of charcoal to this as well, just to go a little darker on the muzzle. Right at the top there. And then I'm going to flip this over. And I'm going to stab a nice wide ghost shape. It's about 2 inches wide at the bottom and about 1 to 1.5 inches around the top. Fold the ends in and then just roll it around. Most of my gray came into the middle, but that's okay. When you do these things, it has a way of, I don't know, if you don't over control it, it has a way of doing cool things with the colors.
So their whole upper mouth is a grazing pad, like a dental pad, like a tough pad that they grind against.
Before I put it on, I'm going to start a centered dent in the top lip. It just helps to keep it centered, to see where it is. Because they have that really pronounced front top lip. And then I'm going to put that on. What I love about this piece is that all this fringe comes back. It starts going over your eyes. It goes over the bridge of your nose. So it does a lot in one step. But to get it started, I just want to make sure it's centered. Then I want to really begin to define some things like the bridge of the nose. And where my eyes are. Now, their mouth does not go back this far. So that's where we've got to take, when we're looking at the sides, a little bit of top coat, whatever matches where you are right there. Just going to bust it up and then put that to hide that seam.
What happens when you get stuck between two llamas?
I don't know what.
You get laminated. Laminated.
Laminated. Laminated. That's funny. That was a good one. Okay, so this front lip is a little bit of fussy work because we want to really dent the muzzle, and then I'm stabbing in where the nostrils are to start to define the lip from the nose, and that carrot piece that we have under there is helping to accentuate that. But just watch your fingers, and I apologize for the bad angle, but it's a hard thing to get. yeah, hard thing to get on camera is, let me finish my sentences. One thing that I'm concentrating on is the petiteness of this little mouth, and then they kind of go like out to their eyes and their floof. So it's going to help me also to put an eye on, and it'll help you guys see where we are with it. It's exciting. It wasn't too tricky. I've been just rolling my eyes in my fingers with a little strip of black. I try to roll it and then I turn the edges in because I want it to be as round as possible. Even though their eyes end up looking very almond shaped, I want to start with a round shape. They're so funny. So I've got this angled onto the front of that that initial shape that we put under there. Just giving some prominence to the eye socket. I feel like I would have a llama. I feel like I would do okay in the mountains with a llama.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't overload it. I would find it all the best dandelions. I would make a cool pack for it. Give her a good name.
Your llama would have drip.
Drip.
Mm-hmm. Be well dressed.
Okay, now we need an eyebrow. I guess the eyebrow is a place that you could put a little bit of color. I've done these so many different ways. So one way is a wrap around the face ace and leave some fringe. That's one way. Then your rolled edge is your eyebrow, and your fringy edge goes onto your head to make it stick. Then the other way, I'll do it in the off-white chunky core. Or, well, yeah, I'll do off-white chunky core. Usually, I don't know. I like to make shapes out of core. I do want to get some Sarafina white on here. Another way is to fold it over in half in your hand and then roll that just a couple of times. So that does the same thing. It gives you fringe and it gives you the rounded edge. So this shape is encapsulating the eye. It's broadening the skull over the eyes, which is what they do. So when you look at it from the front, let me zoom in. Oh. You really get that narrow muzzle, broad head. Narrow muzzle, broad head. Okay, so we need to put the nose piece on. I'm gonna move it. At first, I tried not to do that. I thought, oh, well, just these dents will be, but no, they really have a weird nose and it needs this piece. So I'm gonna make it out of charcoal because that's kind of, no, I'm gonna make it out of tan. Put it right there. It is a double-decker taco for sure. which is also another way to make the eyebrow. But with the 1/2-inch strip, I'm going to stab 1/3 of the way down, fold that over, stab about 1/4 inch. This is a hard color to see on the burlap. And then fold that back. So now I have this nicely felted round edge and a little bit of fringe. And then I can start to give it a little bit of a point, just kind of tugging it into a little bit of an arrow shape. And then the point goes right onto the end of the nose at the top of the muzzle. And then we're going to create 2 nostrils by tucking this under and around a little bit, just giving it a little bit of pucker so that we actually create this nostril. And we can accentuate that by stabbing some black in there, make it look deeper. Such a funny nose. This is a fun one. Okay, I'm going to put a little bit of black floof. I'm going to put a tiny bit down the muzzle to draw this line. It also helps it stay. Oh, we could try to do teeth. So to do teeth, you just want to kind of unstick the chin a little bit. Wrap the end of the face ace with some off-white chunky core. Just a tiny little strip. Then you're going to stab that in there. So funny. Okay. Looks like a wackadoo without any ears yet. I didn't do eyelashes. They do have pretty big eyelashes, so it's definitely something we could try. It's not too hard. It's just some of the alpaca. Let's make some ears. And all of this just gets more stabbing to make it symmetrical and sculpt it the way I want it to be. All right, ears. The ears I am going to do I think I'm going to do them in brown. So on this guy, I did them in white with a little tan in the middle. On this guy, I did them in the dark gray and black. So I think I'm going to make these ears brown. using the core, I want to pull a 2-inch piece. I'm going to split that in half. Then I'm going to split that in half again. And each little quarter, I want to kind of make an X with. And that just gives me a real nice stable base to build the ear. I'm going to mix a little bit of top coat for the back of the ear using the brown alpaca and the brown minx. I think we went with, minx, yeah. I'm going to cut these in half because they're pretty long fibers. And then I'm going to mix them with just a tiny bit of core. But this will give me a lighter brown that's going to blend more with what I put on the body of the llama. How many times have I said alpaca?
It's mostly been llama.
Okay.
I don't know that you said alpaca until you use the alpaca fiber.
Okay. So I'll put that on there. And this is just a straight stab situation because I'm going to actually cut the ear into the shape that I want instead of roll it or fold it. So I'm going to stab.
So just lay it out and punch tool.
Lay it out. Yeah, punch tool it. I might put a little bit of gray on the inside. Just for variation. So
make it look like something's going on in there.
Yeah. So I'm going to use the light gray, I think. By the time this is all sort of punched through, it's not going to look as contrasty. When you work onto the stab it like this, just make sure to lift periodically. So if you did white ears, you could put your Sarafina white and a little bit of tan at the tip or gray at the tip just to get some variation, and then maybe some gray or charcoal on the inside of the ear.
Anything darker on the inside will start to stab through?
Yeah, it's going to stab through no matter what. So, let's see, I think that's a better top. Yeah, so once you have that really felted, I like to put them together because then I know I'm cutting them the same way. And this is a real simple up the sides and then towards the middle house kind of shape. Like that.
Is it about an inch at the bottom or?
More like an inch and a half.
Inch and a half.
And then I want to start to sculpt the ear. So I can come in at the edges a little bit because I cut it. It's a little fuzzy. And then I can also start to roll it. If you actually stab the center when you hold it folded, it's going to begin to take that shape. They also have kind of a funny little point and turn to their ears, which you can get by stabbing the point together and then stabbing at the back of the ear to turn it, turn it out. So how you shape this, how much you stab it is up to you. I don't know if my pictures, yeah. So I'm trying to get, they're very long and I'm trying to get that little curl at the top of the ear.
When llamas graze, they trim the grass. They don't rip it up by the roots like some animals do.
Oh,
So
okay.
they're pretty easy to keep.
Yeah.
And they also walk gently on the land. They don't make big gouges with their feet like some.
All right, we're going to end up with some llamas.
You're going to have a llama.
I think that's against the HOA.
I've seen in several places that they also stick their tongues out at each other when they're like
Oh my gosh.
annoyed.
So funny. Okay, there's my ears. Using the fringy edge, I'm placing it on the back of the head on that shape that we put there. Sometimes you see them with their ears straight up. Sometimes they've got their ears laid back. They're very much like horses where they kind of express themselves with their ears. Because we didn't wire these, you're going to kind of choose. I feel like this one's going to end up with his ears back. But we'll see. She's going to let us know how she's feeling eventually. Getting my ears on symmetrically is always a challenge.
All right, this is interesting. It's saying 4 species of llamas. The guanacos are wild llamas.
Okay.
Llamas are domesticated guanacos.
Kind of like caribou and reindeer.
Vicuñas are wild animals about half the size of llamas.
Okay.
And alpacas are domesticated vicuñas.
Oh, okay.
At least according to kidworldcitizen.org, which has some really interesting facts.
Very cool. I want white on this nose. I don't want all this tan. I don't want it to be too thick because I don't want to change shape.
They communicate using their ears and tails
This is the cutest one
with
yet.
each other. It is cute.
Okay, I'm going to take a break from the face. We do have a few more little, we got to do the white dot and a few more little things. But once we get the fluff on, I feel like we're going to know what we need. Before we fluff, we want to do a couple more things to the legs. Because once the legs are done, then we can just floof it. So it's floofing time. Oh my gosh, it's hilarious. It looks like he's been shorn and is a little embarrassed. So I have white on all the bottoms of my legs. So I'm going to use Sarafina white and take some about 3-inch thin strips. I guess I just split that into quarters is what just happened. And I'm going to wrap down the bottom of the leg. And when I get to the ankle, I'm going to do a little crisscross to build it up a bit, make it a little bigger. And then the extra fiber, I'm going to come down the foot to, remember how we swaxed only the bottom half. So I'm going to come down to that portion. This is my, this is sort of what their foot looks like foot. They actually have a very complex foot. So all 4 legs get that. If I were doing this in black, I would use the black core or perhaps the natural black top coat. Come down the leg. I'm going to exaggerate the ankle just a little bit. Crisscross wrap the ankle and then come down the foot.
What do you call a llama that's always late?
I don't know.
A Dalai llama.
It's like Dally doesn't make any sense unless you say dilly with it. One more. That was a big mom word. My mom.
What's that?
Well, I'm sure I used
Dilly-dally?
it too because she used it. Yeah. Which basically meant do her agenda, not mine. Like it wasn't like, it was, don't dilly-dally meant there's something I need you to do, stop doing whatever you're doing. Okay. All right, then we're going to fluff the tops of the legs. They have a good bit of fluff, and that's great because we can just make fluff and stick it on there. So for the hind legs, because they're brown, I'm going to do that mix that I did for the ears. I'm going to pull some brown alpaca, some Manx, and then I guess I won't cut this up because it can stay fluffy. I'll cut the alpaca. Okay. And then mix that up. So the more it's really a very forgiving animal in its wackiness because they're not pristine. That's for sure. And we should embrace that while we can. So on the white legs, I'll mix that too for those of you who are doing white. I would do some Sarafina white, a little bit of white alpaca. Yeah, I think your supplies, it would be good to split probably your white alpaca, your off-white chunky core, your black, the things that you're going to be using in both. Yeah. And then this is a white Corriedale, which has a little more grab to it than the alpaca.
Some of the dividing, like your black one, most of it's black. So.
Right. Well, yeah.
You
The
wouldn't use
brown
as much white on
alpaca
that
and the
one.
black alpaca, you're probably going to make a brown llama and a black llama with. The black llama might have a little bit more black core on it.
There's enough white to do a fair amount of white on each if they wanted to do.
Yes, there's enough white It's designed for them to be mostly white, like
Okay.
this one. Okay, so this fluff just gets fairly randomly
It just gets laid on.
stabbed on, yeah. And I try to keep it floofy when I stab it, like tease it up. Scrunch it.
Scrunch it.
And then you can flip it over and just bring these around. But leave it poofy. We want it to look bedheady, messy. Oh, I got more brown than I thought. I thought I had more white. Let's see. Okay. Gotta divvy this up between.
So you think there would be like proverbs with llamas? They've been domesticated and used for so long.
History.
And there aren't really. There's some legends.
The South Americans are not big on proverbs. Just kidding. I don't know.
They do have. There's a Spanish proverb, "Al mal tiempo buena cara," which is to bad.
Wait. Bad always.
Al mal tiempo buena cara.
Something about bad and good in there.
Yes. To bad weather, a good face, meaning smile through adversity. And that's often shown with a llama, like with art, because that's what they do. They're out there gracefully carrying all of that in rough terrain and weather and all of that. But I thought there'd be some proverbs, and there's really not.
I was saying I've been ignoring their tails, but they actually have quite a tail, so we're going to figure that out. It's almost a plumage opportunity.
Oh, it's a little floof.
Okay, this needs some white floof too, because that brown spot stops up there early. Kind of want it's like your little pantaloons. Kind of want it to come down to the hock area. Just trying to find the wrapped wire to stab into. Oh gosh, I've been a little low. That's going to be annoying to people. Sorry. I'm just like a little. It's a lot to keep track of. Okay, and then brown over here. Wait till you see how we do the neck. That's fun. Try sticking this in there.
It's so cute already.
Okay. We need to shingle the belly a little bit. I've been doing this in white. To shingle, we're going to use the white alpaca and the white Corriedale. So I'm going to pull just from the fringy edge a nice sort of paint stroke of alpaca. And then I'm going to do the same with the Corriedale. Lay that right on top. And then I'm going to stab the center 1/3 with the fringe pointing backwards. And then fold over the top third. So then we do it again. It's a little thick alpaca. So now the bottom third of this covers the top of that. And same thing, we're going to stab the center third. This covers a lot of ground and still looks like fur, but doesn't stick off as much as the fur technique. And then fold the top over. Well, I really want to get my hands on some llama fiber now.
How do llamas wake up in the morning?
I don't know how.
They use llama clocks.
Oh my God. I'm like not even trying anymore because after 15 years, I finally learned that I can't
stretch.
can't concentrate and really try to.
Got
that one is a stretch.
alpaca sandwich.
I did.
You did.
Oh, alpaca
With the
sandwich.
picnic,
Yes,
yeah.
yes, yes.
You're on. You are on today.
The punchlines have been really bad.
This is a joke low.
You just take anything like, oh, what does a llama use to get to the hospital? A ambulance.
A ambulance. That's a good one, Talbot. I don't know what you mean the jokes are bad. And a llama clock.
One more.
What does an Italian llama say? Now I'm touching a nerve because I'm bringing up the Italians. Llama mia.
That's pretty good.
Are there Italian llamas? That's the real question.
I don't think there's llamas in Italy.
Well, if there were, they would say llama mia.
No, in Italy there's alpacas. We got belly hair. Everybody needs belly hair. Okay, I need to do something fun. So we're going to do the neck. I do the neck in one long piece. If I think I'm going to do white at the bottom of the neck and brown at the top of the neck, but I'm still going to do it in one piece.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm going as wide as my stabbit goes. And I am going put a little bit of top coat in here. I don't think I did on the other ones, but I think it'll help. So that's the Corriedale, and this is the Manx. And then
there's a lot of floof on your stab it.
I know. We want to put a little core strip across it. Then I'm going to make the switch to off-white. Then you fold it over and stab it. I gotta zoom out. That's the problem. That is the issue. And then I'm gonna stab it with this thing. I don't know, however you stab it, but it is gonna get embedded into the stab it webbit, so I gotta pull it off of here at some point. It's a little bit delicate, so be careful. It probably would have been easier if I did this in 2 pieces, now that I'm dealing with it.
What's the challenge in that?
Do this in 2 pieces. Here, I'm gonna do it in 2 pieces. All right, I can feel my core in the center there. So then you take that and you start at the bottom, tack that on through the core, because the core is your staple. Then you go work your way up, tacking it on through your core. You have instantly floofed llama neck. You will not lament this technique. Dude wants the brown.
No one's afraid of llama kisses.
No?
No. Why is everyone so concerned about the apocalypse?
I like that one. That's funny.
Oh, Talbot's not even listening. He didn't have anything to say about that one.
I'm here to
Talbot's going to hear it when he edits.
We're going to hear him laugh. He'll LOL.
Now, the cool thing about this technique is you can stab it all over, because you can always just re-fluff. But stabbing it into that neck core really makes sure that we've got everything stuck good. Now, if I had some more ear or leg fluff, which I don't, I could use it right now, but so I got to make more. So much fun. I just want to put floof on his head. I think I'm not going to put, well, I'll put a little bit of brown core. I'm running out of brown core. And then you got to decide, are they going to have like the
floof or no floof?
The floof or no floof? Some of them don't have it. think I'll leave this one without it because my other ones all have it. Okay, so once you have this little mix, what I want to do is get the back of these ears kind of incorporated with the neck. My ears ended up totally like almost looks like two left feet, like they're not shaped right. Okay. And then I'm going to put a little bit here because I have this brown eye here, but I think on the other side, I'll leave it just Sarafina white. Under this eye, if you remember, I said we got to leave the faces so that the eyeball looks more incorporated. I'm going to put let's see, I think I'll fold it. I'm going to put a little, kind of like a little under eyelid, but just some top coat to tuck under there, and then blend this cheek. Oh my gosh, the teeth are cracking me up. And then let's see what this side needs. This side needs a bigger eye is what it needs.
Just gonna add right on top.
Yeah.
It's amazing how much of a difference that white dot makes.
Yeah, they look a little dark and dead until you get that in there.
Camels can't swim, but apparently llamas can.
Interesting. I remember hearing, maybe it's just like a little misinformation, that all animals could swim.
Like if they had to.
Yeah. But, you know, camels are in the desert, so.
When does a camel need to swim? According to AI overview, they can swim.
Camels?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay. You stand up. They're just so funny.
Oh.
have a lot of little face smoothing and stuff to do. I feel like it's a little rough. We're going to floof the body, and this is just, don't overthink it. I put the brown, I put the Manx, stabby, stabby.
At what point do you add a tail?
Probably now. Fold it over, stabby, stabby. Because that wool is in there, you know, you can give it a little texture-y stab. I don't know. I don't want it to look like all combed. So a tail, I guess I would do, in this case, the last of my brown core. And do a little fold over triangle situation. So I laid it out across and then fold it into a triangle. And then I would put floof on it. But like I said, I did not make tails yet. I failed to make a tail. So I'm doing both sides. I'm letting the floof stick off the edges. I wonder what would happen if I roll it in my hand. Oh, that's not good. Just let the floof stick off the edges. I think I'm gonna like kind of comb it away from the end and then stab it again. That looks good. Everybody watching is like, what just happened? that was,
Make a tail.
That was not an instruction. That was just core shape, floof, stab. Ah, it's so happy to have a tail. Yeah, it's good to get this on because then this other
Lock it in.
fluff is going to lock it in.
Oh, cute. Fabulous tail.
Thank you. You could put, oh, no, I'll just stick with this. You could put the natural brown black in there too, but I included it to coordinate with the black alpaca.
So llamas are natural protectors. Like they guard livestock.
Very donkey-like.
People will raise them to protect the other animals. They're pack animals, so they bond quickly. They're very alert to their surroundings, so they're always on the lookout. It says, when a predator is detected, the llama will send out a loud, startling call called a rusty hinge.
That's funny.
I want to hear a rusty hinge.
I think you need to YouTube that
I know.
right now.
If it isn't enough to scare off the intruder, they will fight it off by kicking and spitting. Llama, rusty hinge. A guard llama. It's their alarm cry.
That does sound like a rusty hinge. At first I thought no, but then it got there. All right, I'm going a little ratty-tatty. Oh my gosh. Cracking me up. I don't want quite this much belly floof hanging down. I'm going to tack it up there a little bit. It's very like tauntaun sounding.
That llama's name is Kid Rock. According to the little sign outside of his little llama pen. Oh my goodness, they're funny. They are quite vocal.
I'm going to make this one mostly brown. Oh, I do like the tail. It needs the tail. They definitely have tails. You know what? I don't need to trim up my ears too. Oh, I like the way this one's face turned out. I'm going to give him a little more floof on top of his head. Just near this eye. I want this to all come together here. Like this.
There is a distinct mating sound that llamas produce called orgling.
Okay.
This says because female llamas are induced ovulators, the vibration and frequency of the male orgling triggers the female's body to release eggs for fertilization.
Aha. He's got orgle right. So on these shingles, I kind of come to the middle in the back and just let there be a part because it's sort of how they are, but I'll show you in a second. So as we get covered up onto the back, you're going to end up with a part down the middle. So you can either kind of tease that around and stab it or put a little fluff there. I like to just tease out the seams and stab it. I'm going to do a brown shingle here and then the rest in white. Get this shoulder brown. This is my white neck floof. I want to get that on top of it. Alrighty, I need a white one here. Yeah, I think this supply pack has a ton of fiber.
Mm-hmm. Many different top coat options for sure.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's see what we need on this side. I guess a white one right here. I'll put one more brown one. Go brown right up here. Yeah, there's also all these, like the Gen tan and the gray, that you could put little markings on the legs and stuff. Sometimes they have kind of complicated markings on their legs. I didn't want to go too crazy with all that just for the sake of the tutorial, but you definitely could put spots, and sometimes their knees have a little, like this guy, I put little brown knees on him. Get some stabbing. Each one I felt like I got the head like better and better. Okay, get a white one right here.
All right, here's the orgle sound.
Okay, you found a good one?
Well, found
You
something.
found another one.
He sings his song. This is called an orgle. Usually we.
All right, well, you're talking. I don't want to hear you talking.
I could hear him.
Okay, well, that's the orgle. Their nose and lips do all kinds of crazy things to make that sound.
I'll have to look that up later. So I have a little seam on the top. I want to just cover with some fluff and not more fiber because I'm felted out, but I don't want it to get bulkier. So I'm just going to take some of my white fluff here and cover this seam. Willy-nilly is the name of the game. What do you think?
So fun.
I think it's looking very llama-y.
He is very llama-y. His little toes are fabulous. His little teeth are fabulous.
We'll do eye dots and eyelashes.
You could do eyelashes.
And then I'm going to leave you guys to do the rest on your own. I will zoom in little more tweaking to my face. Like I think I'm going to polish it up a little bit, but you guys don't need to watch me tediously stab away. It's really on the face, just more sculpting, blending. Like I can use a reverse needle. I don't know where here it is. 1 second. I can use a reverse needle, especially on the muzzle, because I have so many layers of colors. If I want this to be a little more blendy, I can reverse needle it and then re-stab it. It just kind of removes lines and seams and makes the color changes more gradual. But that's a choice. It's not.
Floofs out their face a little bit too if you want.
Yeah, if you want to floof out their face. So for my white dot, I'm going to use Sarafina white and just the teeniest, tiniest bit. And then I definitely need the 40 twist. And that goes right in there. And I think I'm going to use brown eyelashes. Well, I guess I'll use black ones. I don't know. I was going to say for contrast. You'll be able to see it better on the other side. Eyelashes be a thin pull of alpaca, the width of the eye, and then you want to stab a tiny bit of black core right into the crease of the eye, between the eyeball and the eyebrow. You can kind of feel it more than see it. And then you pull these two layers together. You can stab it some more now that you can see it better. And then you gotta cut it, because those would be crazy eyelashes. All right, see, this is what happens. There it is. I saved my little white dot wool, but it doesn't always stick around. I might be able to use this for the eyelashes. This is what I cut off of the other side. Core is a teeny tiny staple. Crazy how well this holds and felts in there. All right. definitely eyelashes and a tail are very cute and needed. My poor little llama needs a little bit more stabbing.
So cute.
She's ready for some dandelions and blackberries.
Yep. The eyelashes definitely make her more of a her.
Oh, I see a spot. That I missed. Not surprised. I sort of blew through that.
That front shingle gives you even extra oomph on the chest. Like they have
Yeah, just where the neck floof was on and those initial ones I put on the belly, there was a blank spot between the two.
They do look a little front heavy.
Yeah, they have that big swoop in their neck and chest. They're interesting. They're definitely interesting proportions. You know, because you were saying that their legs looked long to start.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm wondering, you know, are they long enough? You know what I mean? Because they're a little different than most animals.
She's very cute.
Well, this was fun. And this one that I did with you guys today, I feel like I got the face the best so far. This is my fourth one. And yeah, the supply pack is generous. It is available at sarafinafiberart.com. I hope you enjoyed the video. Consider sharing in our group. It's called Sarafina Felting Fanfare. That's on Facebook. And yeah, hopefully we'll see your llamas there, right?
Lots of them.
Oh gosh. So thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you with something else soon.